Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnanatirmirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Deham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakam Shri Vaishnavāścha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saharanathandritam Tam Jantajeevam Sadhaivam Svabhadutam Varindasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Viśwanātha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Please forgive, I'm a little late. 15 minutes late. We were thinking of starting the program today at 7 o'clock. That's what we decided yesterday. Yesterday after the program, I just completely forgot. In the morning, there were a few things. So please forgive, but we'll go till 8 o'clock. And tomorrow, we'll do again 7 to 8. What we are trying to accomplish here is discuss about the aniṣthitā-bhajan-kriyā. Bhajan-kriyā means the activity of bhajan. Bhajan means devotional service. And we have to also see that bhajan actually is just not a monolithic entity. One aspect, one way is doing bhajan. It's in 3 different aspects. Jiva Goswami calls the outermost aspect of the bhajan as auspices bhakti, which means whatever we are doing in our jobs of coding and whatnot, selling some things, we can do a labeling on it so that it becomes bhakti. What is the labeling? So whatever fruits I get, I will give it to Krishna. That includes the money, that includes the prestige, that includes the caucus, the surrounding, you're rubbing your shoulders with some great people, so you utilize that association also in service of Krishna. So that's the outermost circle of bhajan kriya. It's called auspices bhakti, bhakti sandarbha. So we are going in these 2 sessions a little bit deeper in our Gaudiya scriptures. The second inner concentric circle is where we use our talents in the service of Krishna. So we may have managerial talents, we may have artistic talents, we may have singing talents, we may have painting talents, writing talents. We dovetail it in the service of Krishna. This is called Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Sangha means association, Arop means label. So the first aspect, you're doing Python coding and you don't know, I'll use that fruits to serve Krishna. So you have labeled, you put the label, it's for Radha and Krishna. So it's Arop Siddha. Sang Siddha Bhakti means you use your talents in the service of Krishna. So by that sangha, by that association, associatedness of the talent with devotional service, that becomes Sangha Siddha Bhakti. Okay, so that's the inner circle. We can remember it by simple English words. Give, outermost Arup Siddha Bhakti is give. The inner circle, Sangha Siddha Bhakti, is gather. Gather your talents, your wherewithal to serve Krishna. And the innermost circle is the core. That's called Swarup Siddha Bhakti. The bhakti in its original nature. Direct bhakti. Navadha bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9 times. And the key word for it is devote. So GGD, give, gather, devote. You can remember that too. Now this is the bhajan. But this bhakti can be, as Mādhurya Kādambinī, the book which we are discussing, says, that can be fixed up or not fixed up, can be steady or non-steady. Vishwanath Cakravartī Thākur wrote this book. He is considered in Gaudiya tradition to be an avatar. Eho kahe eo Rupa Goswami avatar. Somebody says that he is a Rupa Goswami's avatar. And no wonder that he picked up Rupa Goswami's granthas and did some small tikas on that. So Vishwanath Cakravartī Thākur writes this book, Mādhurya Kādambinī, not for us to show mirror to somebody that, oh, look, Prabhu, you're somewhere like there, maybe go up, maybe go down. No, for us. He wrote this book so that we can honestly evaluate our progress. We need yardsticks or milestones so that we can understand where we are going. Well, we need to seek help in particular matters or not, right? We all need the manuals. So this is a very deep manual about the progress of a sadhaka in bhakti. What do you call when you create a building or something, there is a main frame structure. RCC in India, here we call it props or scaffolding. Yeah? Scaffolding. So the main scaffolding of this entire book is the verse by Rupa Goswami. Ādau Shraddha, Tato Sadhu Sangha, Atha Bhajan-kriyā. Rupa Goswami mentions this. The first Shraddha happens, then you do Sadhu Sang, then you do Bhajan-kriyā. In Sadhu Sang, somebody pushes you, why don't you chant? You also feel, they look happy, I should do something. So you do Bhajan-kriyā. After the Bhajan-kriyā starts the, as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, Skravanam Mapanam. Shravanam Kirtanam, so Skravanam Mapanam. Of what? Heart. Who does it? Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Hridyanthasthohya Bhadrani Vidhunati Suhrid Satam. So Krishna does this Skravanam Mapanam. He likes that. But when the Bhajan Kriya is happening, even in that Bhajan Kriya, in the aniṣthitā stage, we can say that so Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti and Nishtha. So when somebody is doing Bhajan Kriya, but the Nishtha is not being produced, a lot of Anarthas are there and something is holding that person back. That's what is being discussed here. That's what we'll discuss today. So he says, Tato Bhajan Kriya sa cha dvidha aniṣthitā niṣthitā cha. That Bhajan Kriya is of 2 types. Nishthavan and aniṣthavan, which means steady or unsteady. And he says, let's discuss first aniṣthitā, which means not nishtha. Nishtitā means fixed. So unsteady, which is of 6 types. Kramena, he says, in sequence they are Utsahamahi, Ghanatarala, Vyudha Vikalpa, Vishay Sangara, Niyamakshama, and Taranga Rangini. He is telling these are the 6 stages of unsteady devotional service. And it's important to study because we'll figure it out. Maybe we are also going through them. See, when these stages are defined in Bhakti, it's not like, okay, you go there, then nothing happens. You go there, then nothing happens below. You go there, nothing happens below. No, we keep going, we come down, we go up, we come down. It happens like that. And it's also not that anartha nivritti stage happens and then nishtha comes and then you have no anartha. Not like that. In fact, anartha nivritti stage means it starts and goes. Just that the anarthas reduce, or different kind of anarthas come which will not choke so much. And only when one reaches and sees Thakurji, takes darshan of Sri Krishna, then it is atyantik nivritti. Then everything collapses, all the anarthas. But they are still there a little bit. Sometimes even while doing bhakti, we get anarthas or potential anarthas. Because with bhakti, we get a lot of mal. Another mal means prestige, honor, and like nice foodstuffs also sometimes. And the person may start thinking, yo. And when that yo thinking comes, that just begins. Because those samagris are not meant for your service. You are meant to serve others. They come, take a little bit, move on. Take little bit, offer to the Guru, move on. So this is bhaktiyottha anartha also. With bhakti itself, the anartha will come, or potentially they can come. So you're able to understand that it's not like anartha nivritti just ends there and you move to nishtha. No, it is there, it will go on. But motamoti means more or less things before anartha nivritti are sort of aniṣthitā-bhajan-kriyā. After anartha nivritti, when majority of the anarthas have gone out, especially related to sins, then it is aniṣthitā-bhajan-kriyā. Got it?
Yes.
So now the 6 stages, and these are very funny stages. I brought the original Sanskrit here just so that we'll be doing mula here. Mula means original thing and not cooking something else. Tatra utsahamahi prathamam eva. This is, first of all, we discussed about utsahamai. He's giving the example like a vatu. Vatu is a small brahmana boy. When he goes to the college, what happens? Voila, so many nice subjects, and he gets interested into studying mathematics and things like that. Or the enthusiasm to gain that knowledge or study is super in the first few stages. So like that he's saying, Shastram adhyetum arabha manasya. The person has just begun to study scriptures. Just begun to. But what happens just begun when the person just begins something new, which is exotic. Right? Sometimes Sanskrit words can be exotic. And sometimes Bengali words can be equally exotic. Sometimes the concept itself is exotic. I remember, go back home, back to Godhead. One of my friends who was with me in college in India, not preparation for a college in India, came to Stanford when I was a student. And at that time, like catch anybody and tell, download. Somebody can download the entire Bhagavad Gita there. That kind of spirit used to be there. These 6 stages are the stages like this, above the ground. And they're highly unstable because you can topple. When Nishtita comes, we touch the ground. I said, okay, you have to understand what to do, what not to do, when to speak, when not to speak. So maybe I was here. And then the person comes and I says, yeah, our goal is go back home, back to Godhead. He fainted. What is this back home, back to Godhead? Quite a big term, never heard in English. Yeah, and I think Godhead is not a word. Jugaad, Jugaad is a Hindi word which means kind of arranging things
to make it work
in a very ad hoc way. Like we often do Jugaad in our programs. Oh, food is not there. come on, cook something, get from here, mix something, feed it, done, jugaad, right? Now this jugaad word has come into the dictionary. Pajamas, that was a Hindi word, it came into the dictionary. But still back to Godhead. Godhead, I think, is not there. It's really the word of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Godhead means Vishnu Tattva. The Tattva of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, he fainted at that time. Like that, not only Sanskrit and Bengali, we may have certain terminologies which may do what? Sarva loka shlokyamana panditam upapannam eva. Sarva lok, he thinks that, or she thinks that, everybody now must give. Or I have the panditya, I have the scholarship which is worthy of respect and honor by what? Not one person, Sarvalok, everybody else. It happens, right? Even it's very strange that when we study mathematics and physics, somehow it doesn't happen that a lot. But in Bhakti, when we do, it generally happens, and we have a word for that in ISKCON also for this. You know, what's the word for this kind of feeling that you read, no sooner you begin this study, you feel you have gotten the scholarship, which is worthy of respect by everybody else. You know what we call this? PDS. You know the full form of PDS? It's called pure devotee syndrome. I am a pure devotee, so that's why everybody should respect me. And he is swasmin manyamanasya. That person thinks that he's not. Very carefully, Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur uses the word swasmin. He feels that quality has come into him, and he's assuming it. Manyamanasya. It's not there. He's not the scholar worthy of respect. These days we often see that a little knowledge of maybe some exotic language, and sometimes there could be an urge of maybe creating some poetry out of it. But then the person should ask question, okay, poetry is for whom? It's for service or it's for attracting, marketing? These questions must be asked. This is utsahamai. Person has too much of utsaha, and we have to ask the question, why does this stage arise? I already asked the question, right? It doesn't happen in mathematics. Why does it happen when bhakti one starts to begin, and he or she will immediately start thinking that the position of very high position has been reached and everybody should respect? Discussion. Why do you think that happens?
Because devotional service is very rare to achieve. As we hear again and again, Krishna says, out of millions of people, one person tries. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaścit vitasite. So we feel, okay, I have
very rare.
I'm very rare. So yes. So this is even Krishna is saying. I'm not saying Krishna is saying.
Good one.
Yes. I personally think that you see a lot of changes in you.
Yes, then what happens?
Which you haven't seen before.
Yes.
And then you see yourself above other people. Right?
Yes. Wow,
that's
such a nice one. Good. Very good. What else?
I also had a similar thought before, so I could relate when this happens.
This happens.
So
see, in maths and physics, it's all about material thing, but in bhakti, it is manovegyanik, it's psychological thing, and these things can happen only in the psychological plane. Yeah, so you can relate, and what you said is fine. The reason is that the person has just shastram adhyetum arabhamanasya. He has just begun to study. He is not completely studied. So the range of understanding is missing. It's not an all-inclusive understanding is not there. It's bhinnadrik, separatist understanding of bhakti. Which means they and me. Which means they are not special, I am special. Actually, that's not true. I am fortunate I have been given bhakti, but I am not superior. Let that other person be him or her, be whoever from any nationality. If they would get the same mercy, perhaps they would become better devotee. There was a sort of a street bump. He would always bump into Srila Prabhupada's morning walk. And other devotees around Srila Prabhupada, this story was narrated by Indradumna Maharaj. They would say, "Hey, this dirty fellow, why he is coming here? He would not be dressed well, disheveled, dirty, and always saying, food, food, where is food? Heard about it, Prabhu? It's very interesting. Food. And then Prabhupada says, okay, come my boy, come. Like this. Feed him food. Later on, this personality became the most eloquent, lucid translator of Sanskrit and Bengali literatures. Can you guess? Koshakratha Prabhu, who translated like hundreds of literatures. But where did he start? A street bum who couldn't even speak properly. But Prabhupada had this vision, and we have Anand Chaitanya Prabhu who is leading the Western outreach. Sometimes we may just pick, okay, Devan Maharaj says low-hanging fruits who already have Shraddha and Bhakti, like those, some of us who are coming from little pious backgrounds, seemingly pious backgrounds, because only heart knows. But then Prabhupada inspired us that no, Bhakti has no material, you can say, conditions to be taken up. Bhakti is Swachhanda. This is our Gaudiya understanding, which means anywhere in the planet, if the person who is sharing has Bhakti in the heart and the situations, the ambience created is Bhaktimay, then people will pick it up. However, such persons of Utsamay, they don't have a Vyapaka understanding, a pervasive understanding, and they don't have experience. Experience that Krishna acts in everybody else's life also. So they are what? Bubbly, jumping, Utsaha Mai. Maya means full of. So it's full of Utsaha, but it's not the real Utsaha. We all need enthusiasm, but this is fake enthusiasm. And hence, what happens as a result of this Utsaha Mai? We get to the second stage. Atha Ghana Tarala. Ghana Tarala. Ghana means thick, Tarala means sort of fluidish. So if the person has Utsahamai, he hasn't got an experience, he doesn't have great, you can say, a Vyapaka understanding. So do you think that full of enthusiasm thing will stay for a long time? No. A bunch of the material world and it's like shattered. So their bhakti often is like sinusoidal. Sometimes 108 rounds, other times 4 rounds. Yeah, literally devotees shared. One devotee was sharing, was chanting 16 rounds. Suddenly goes to Vrndavana and that's it. 16, 32, 64, 96, 108. 108, 108. Then like go down 96, 64, 32, 16, 8. That's like a big sinusoidal thing. That's not a sankalpa. That's not a bhakti with determination, because determination, we mean minimum this rounds unfailingly before I go to sleep. No license of backlogs, which means like, okay, well, 8 rounds I'll do later, and then voila, you get 147 rounds backlog. That's not a sankalpa. It's not a determined bhakti. So their bhakti is ghana tarala. It says, prakamyamanani bhaktyangani kadachit nirvahanti kadachit na va iti. Sometimes he follows the limbs of bhakti, sometimes doesn't follow them. Sometimes he chants, sometimes doesn't chant. Sometimes reads, sometimes doesn't read. Now, please understand, we are not here making a blanket statement that 365 days one has to read. Chanting is the basic thing, but 365 days, every limb one must do unfailingly. We give some licenses for emergency situation also. Now, these emergency situations could be like a travel. Emergency situation could be family member is not well. Emergency situation is like your nearby devotee is not healthy. So you can't say, Prabhu, sorry, I have to read my rounds. you better bleed. No, we stop everything because we'll get more bhakti shakti by serving that devotee who is suffering. Isn't it? So we have these licenses or allowances for emergency, but emergency cannot be daily. So as far as possible on a daily situation, our aspiration is that it should not be kadachid nirvahanti, kadachid na nirvahanti. Means sometimes do, sometimes not do. Vahan means carry. So nirvahanti means I'm carrying that limb of bhakti in my lap. Such a nice thing, right? Vivid imagination. I'm carrying the smarana, I'm carrying the archanam. Sometimes I drop it. That's not aniṣthitā-bhajan-kriyā. Certainly one limb we have to always carry, bare minimum if at all, and that is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Okay, what's the example? What's the analogy? Another example of the student. Like Yatha Vatoho Shastra Bhyasaha, just like that small kid, Vatu, small boy who's going to the Gurukula, his Shastra Abhyas means the practice, reading, studying of the scriptures. Sometimes it is Sandra. Sandra is thick, forgets everything, goes deeper, like forgets eating. So, my God, like he's reading Bhagavad Gita 6 hours and he's making the maps and connections and then going in the other scriptures. And kadachin tadartha pravesha asamarthataya. Sometimes he's not able to understand only what's happening. And he thinks, I'm not able to understand. And he's not getting rasa, that mellow, right, which he was getting earlier. So then what happens? His adhyan is shithil, weak. 15 minutes gone, done. At one time it was 6 hours. Another time it becomes what? 15 minutes. So what happens? Ghana tarala, like this. Ghana, super high, enthusiasm, tarala. Ghana tarala. You see? Utsama is always high, right? But then the person falls. After he falls, there is a sinusoidal. You can remember this picture. No sooner the person gets this Bhagavad Gita, in the first day, as you said, he starts feeling there is a heart has changed, I am special, it goes up. It's only so less a time he will stay up. He will come down and then it's a bumpy ride. Sometimes up, sometimes down. Hasn't it happened with all of us?
Yes.
See how perfect are the acharyas in their perception. So now the question comes, why does Ghan Tarala happen? We talked about that. The person didn't have the mature utsaha, just some fake utsaha. It comes down, but still some rasa is there in the bhakti process, right? Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasa varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha. Of the dehinaha, of the embodied being who is nirahar, who has stopped. I will not see, I will not hear, I will not eat, I will not act. Nirahar, he is fasting. Vishaya vinivartante, the objects of senses will not come, right? Parantu, one thing will remain. What is that? Rasa. Inside the desire is there, That's why they sing. Dehinaha niraharasya rasa varjam vishaya vinivartante. Except the rasas, vishayas will go. Except the rasa. That is why there are many stages of renunciation. First stage of renunciation is tyag. Baba, remove that object far away from me. If I see that object, I'll be attracted. And if the object is nearby only, I'll be attracted. So far, far, far. That's tyag. Then comes vairag. Vairag. Vair means without. Rag means without attachment. This means even if the object is there, I'll not have attraction. And then finally comes, as they call uparati. Uparati is that you have some higher rati so that you use that object in service of Krishna. That is yukta vairag. So first you tyag, then it get vairag, then it's yukta vairag. But oftentimes, right from the beginning, you say yukta vairag. But here there is no tyag has not happened, vairag has not happened. How can you do yukta vairag? It's scary. Now, because this personality doesn't have the as Vaisheshika Prabhu says, the mustard seed of taste. Other tastes are remaining. So sometimes he understands, sometimes he doesn't understand. And as a result of it, he reaches the third stage. This is the last one. The next 10 minutes we'll discuss. Vyudha Vikalpa. This is very interesting. Vyudha Vikalpa is like, let me define it. Vividha eva prapta vikalpa yatra bhavanti iti vyudha vikalpa. Where vikalpa means options. So where many options just circle in the mind. Vyudha. Vyudha is, I think, anybody knows the word Vyudha comes in Bhagavad Gita somewhere? First few verses only.
So,
okay, let's start. Dharma kshetre sukshetre samaveta yusava mamaka pandavaschaiva kima kuruvata sanjaya
Samjeva
pacha drishtva
Pandavanikam Vyudham Duryodhanasthita.
Vyudham Duryodhanasthita. What is Vyudham? The military phalanx. So these options are also like military phalanx. So the person thinks, should I, with the family members and making all my wives and sons, Vaishnavas, do the worship in the home and make the home a very happy place? Enter into Grihasthashram. Or I should leave everything, sarvan eva parityajya. I should go to Vrindavan and worship. Dheya. I'll just do kirtan, I'll just do shravana, and I will be very happy. So, so you can see this is what happens, right, in the life of a person. Then sometimes it also happens, okay, should I do kirtan? Should I do shravan? Should I do seva? Should I be like Ambarish Maharaj? Or should I be like Shukdev Goswami? Ityadi. Vyudha Vikalpa, unable to decide, unable to come to a conclusion. Why? Because the heart, the viveka, bhakti, the viveka, the discriminative power which has come from bhakti has not yet arrived. Person has also not felt a taste, so he does know what really is the venue where he should be investing. Of course, the person has also not become aware of his or her psychophysical situation, so he doesn't know where to invest. So all ashrams are great. One way of looking at ashram is what are the facilities you will need in one, you need and which are available in one ashram. The other way to say is what are the problems in different ashrams and what you can live with. So one way is saying that what are the facilities in different ashrams which you need, which are provided there. Or I think a more realistic way of doing this, what are the problems in the ashram and you can live with that. Because everywhere there are issues. It's not a smooth ride. So we end here. Okay. Now we can take 5-6 minutes are there. We can take reflections, comments, suggestions, and next tomorrow we'll have the three stages, and we conclude that way. Okay. Was it relatable?
Yes.
Utsamai, Ghana Tarala, and then Vyudha Vikalpa, frequency has increased. Because Vyudha Vikalpa comes because things are not steady. So when things are not steady, what is not steady? Mind. And when mind is not steady, what is mind's thing? Sankalpa and Vikalpa. Do this, not do this. Do this, not do this. The best way to steady the mind is steady devotional service. There is engagement, and different people need different engagements. So without discussing with the mentors or discussing or really going deeper in contemplation, we will be able to know. Some people need 70 projects to work on at one time. Some person needs only one project to work on. That doesn't mean person working 70 projects is better than one project, or the one project is better than 70 projects. No, Prabhu, how can you do 70 projects? You're Rajasic. That's not a different people are different psychophysical nature. Or Prabhu, you just do one thing is so lazy. No. Different people, as Vaishika Prabhu said, different shloka for different folk. Isn't it? So slowly when these stages are crossed, and Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur says that you don't have to go through all of these. Right from the beginning, there's a good guidance, and the person is able to do the give, gather, devote nicely. Then what will happen? Okay, bypass these stages. Okay. So yeah, reflections, questions, also online. Somebody wants to ask.
Yeah, we can check.
Yes. So if anybody has online, they can go first. Okay, I think I'll call the names. Yes, if anybody is interested to talk. Devaprasana Prabhu, would you like to say anything?
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the class. It was so, you explained so in a simple way with so many examples. It was so enlightening. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay, anybody else online? Okay, I have a question. Prabhu.
Yes.
So
Naveen Prabhu.
Nikunj Nayak.
Nikunj Nayak. Yes. Sorry. N square.
It's good. Yes. So I like your explanation on Tyaga, Vairagya, and Yukta Vairagya. Now, in the beginning stages, Tyaga, we can start with that,
Yes.
but it cannot be sustained for too long because it's very difficult to keep keeping things away. So, what is the effective way of getting from Tyaga to Vairagya?
Developing taste in the process of bhakti, because that generates rasa varjam. We didn't complete that first. Rasa varjam, vishaya nivartate. Except for the rasa, the vishayas go away, but rasa stays, right? So rasa api, even the rasa also, the rasa for the object, like we are doing tyag, right? So there's a rasa in that. Rasa api goes. Why? Param drishtva nivartate. When param drishtva, after we have seen something higher, even that rasa in that object also nivartate. So which means we have to cultivate positive devotion service. I mean, every time we cannot be like, oh, I don't want to see why is that? No, yoga, Vaishya Guru says that yoga is always a plus. So we invest in the process of direct devotional services and try to pray to Krishna, give us little mustard seed of taste, little drop of taste, real rasa, not the Vishaya rasa, and that will drown all the other unnecessary things and wash away all these unnecessary things. In this day and age, it is kirtan and japa and kirtan. Just imagine if we do a dancing kirtan for like half an hour, 45 minutes. We're so absorbed. After that, we don't want to come down one day. Washes away all those things. Does that help you? So there's a mysticism in the process. We have to figure out which limb. It's not a cookie cutter thing. Okay, step one, step two, step three. Nothing has to go back. Step to step. It's not so physical thing, right? Everything can be written down. But we have to practice from house. And Krishna is kind. He will send the right people near you when you'll be in a particular situation to guide you when you move on. Okay? Thank you.
Prabhu, I really like the first three stages you said about by labeling aniṣthitā-bhajan-kriyā.
Yeah, Sangha-siddha bhakti.
And the innermost is Swarup-siddha bhakti.
Bhakti.
So how do these stages relate to unsteady devotional service?
No, I was just telling that in any practicing of bhajan or devotional service, in any practices of bhajan or devotional service, these three aspects one has to keep in mind. See, aniṣthitā and aniṣthitā-bhajan-kriyā are not for students only, or not for householders only, or not for brahmacharis only. It's for everybody, right? But everybody is in different stages. Like for somebody, there is no āropa-siddha bhakti. A little bit āropa-siddha bhakti is there, that they may get societal prestige and they dovetail it. But for some, there's a big āropa-siddha bhakti. They're just able to barely, minimally chant during the day. There's no sangha-siddha bhakti, and they're just hoarding throughout the day. So what they can do? Fruits. So for them, give component is much more than the gather component and the devote component. Agreed? For some, who they have given up the give component, their mind is too occupied with devotional service. So what they are doing Sangha Siddha and Sarup Siddha. Of those who are teaching preachers and travelers, because it's not like they're working for a karmic institution and getting something. So it's technically not āropa-siddha bhakti. Yeah.
Okay. So these are from Śrīla
Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha.
Bhakti Sandarbha. So these are the three
levels, he says.
Levels of
bhakti. Just practicing bhakti. Just bhajan.
Okay.
It can be nishtita, anishtita. So a person who's anishtita, in giving, he'll say, one day I'll give 50%. Next day, why? Already gave. But a steady one will say fix a percentage or fix a particular amount. I'm just giving an example. Steady, right? होता है ना sometimes like पूरा ही दे दिया. अगली बार इतना जल गया कि कुछ नहीं दूंगा, मैं ले लूंगा. So that's unsteady. Okay. That happens in the beginning stages. Does that help you? Further, the last Prabhu?
So I'm not that intelligent. I find understanding these things really difficult. And there's so many intricacies. And then since childhood, I found that, I don't know, this is the nature of material nature and also devotional nature, that things don't get so complicated, and
things don't
get so complicated.
They get complicated
as we get involved.
Don't get or get?
Get involved. Okay. And then I find myself in like unfounded so I spend time and do it, but then I leave it to if it happens, it happens. Otherwise, I'm not gonna make my mind tense. So in terms of devotional service, what would you suggest for me to go towards and do?
Yeah, good question. Different people have different kind of acumen of intellect and emotion. Some people are so emotional. I mean, come on, don't speak all these concepts here. Why Vishaya Sangra and all of this? And some people say, bring it on. Why only this? Just bring more and more pothis. But let me tell you that these are very basics. Just think about it. They're not, they give, gather, devote, which I told, Āropa Siddha, Sangha Siddha, they're not very complicated. They're very basic.
Can you give me an example? I just missed the whole point.
No.
Give,
about what?
Give, gather, devote.
This person is working in a Python coding job. How he can contribute that aspect of working just for a company, maybe like you're making cameras which are put on the what is that burger shop, Burger King. The camera, you're making a camera which is put on the top of the Burger King, and it has an AI engine running, and it will immediately kind of give orders whether the person needs burgers or not. So kind of it is helping in killing of the chickens. What do? Well, okay, best you change it if it is so hurting. If you cannot change, whatever the fruits you are getting, you label it, this is for Krishna. Fruits means your money you get. Simple. You're getting X salary, 10% of it is for Krishna, 5%, whatever you decide, or a fixed amount for Krishna. So you were doing something crazy or not so crazy, but you labeled, but still some of it has to be for Krishna. So arop siddha bhakti. Then you are sitting in office, but you have a great talent for managerial activities. So somebody in the temple, you start helping in managing prasadam distribution service.
Okay.
So it's still not, you're not taking earnestly name of Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, but you are utilizing your talents in orchestrating the preaching mission movement, right? That's Sangha Siddha Bhakti. You have associated your talents with the movement. Sangha is associated. So this associatedness also is a part of Bhakti. And finally, is the simple thing you're talking about. Hare Krishna chanting, being with the devotees, taking prasadam, offering flowers to the deities. There is no work there. There is no talent thing there. It's the outpouring of the heart. Does that make sense?
So utilizing your fruits of your work, utilizing
your talent,
and
then utilizing your heart like that. Right? Now this is actually not very complex concept, and keeping these in mind will help us in thick times. Chaitanya Charitamrita also says, Siddhanta bolya chitte na kara alash. Iha hoite sudhrira manas, something like that.
Yes. Krishna. Yeah.
So when some of the, not a whole lot, but some bare minimum, all of us have to keep that we are spending some time out there in your job, etc. Similarly, we can also invest some of that intellect in understanding this concept, because they will be helpful, especially in the thick times. I'm not able to devote so much. I'm not able to gather so much. So at that time, I can just pray to Krishna. I'm just giving the fruits to you. See, the cart is immediately getting connected. Huh? Does that help? Yeah.
Yes, so now you very simply explained about give, gather, and devote. But in Krishna consciousness, it's obvious there is stages, like there's a suggestion to move more towards a devote. Right?
Yeah. Or at least that should become the predominant engine.
Rather than just staying in.
Makes sense, no? Yeah.
So when that priority you realize, but you realize you're more in a give side, and very little of gather at this, and then combine that with you're still fighting on Tyag stage, okay, and then taste only comes once you start giving some devotion, right? Some devote. So that becomes very difficult to come out, right?
Yeah, we need blessings, we have to make effort, and we should pray. We need blessings, we should not stop our effort, tax our brains. It's like falling in love, right? I mean, we can't say, okay, I love you, but you just stay at your place and I stay. No, you do something, you bring flowers, and what are those days? February 14th and things like that. Valentine's, and I don't know what all days are. We do efforts. People do efforts. They'll go for dates and lunches, and they'll go for khajurs, dates. Offer khajurs. And then there is an exchange. And sometimes people end up talking like hours and hours and hours. You say, why are you talking hours and hours? It's investment. So we have to keep that in mind too. We have to invest in our relationship with Krishna. We have to also tax our brains, right?
Yeah.
How? I mean, why am I coding my life away? And that's just like talking, like sometimes this argument also people do. Prabhu, I want to start a company and become so rich, and later you realize he just became rich, nothing came out. Like I'll become so rich that I'll give billions of dollars. How many people made that and it really manifested? No. Money has a power also. So just it sits on the head and then you think, it's I earned. Maybe I should give a little token money on Janmashtami. You see the transformation, how it happens. But if a person is sincere, sincere means basically taxing the brains. How to honestly serve Krishna. Sincerity means no duplicity. Means honestly trying to refine our offering. Raghunath Das Goswami did. He was a big Jamindar. He quit. Then after he quit, he started. I mean, his just renunciation level kept on increasing. Similarly, in our lives, whether household or brahmachari or unmarried, whatever, that we have to tax our brains to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then Krishna will reciprocate also. He wants to see, are you executing something out of your own volition? Or only when the push comes to shove, right? Then only you wake up and like, okay, do something. And then so tax our brains. And it's very, because he's a person. So how we love a person, we tax our brains. What does he like? Whom does he like? How does he like? And why does he like also? That's the tattva. Philosophy part. So it's a very, we can think about the analogy of falling into love or falling into any relationship. Does that help you, Nikunj? Yes. So prayers, blessings, and your own effort.
But it is an everlasting effort, right?
And it must be like that. Because it's an everlasting love, it is eternal love. And that's why it's a hope. Kabhi bore nahi hoge. And there's like, how many people have told me that 7 years, after 7 years of marriage, the love almost become like platonic love. I mean, there are the charms, I mean, the average is 7 years, it could be even less. The several charms which were there just dissolve. And this is an honest, forget about the marriage thing. Any normal relation also, several charms are only theoretical then, right? They just dissolve, but it's not with Krishna. That's the interesting thing. He looks at Radharani and says, who is this personality? She is looking very nice. I have never seen. What? I mean, you're always standing near her. What do you mean like you have never seen? But that's a Nitya Naveen Prem. When we look at the deities, and if we are sincere, we don't feel like, Kal bhi waise hi the. Wohi kale kalute. No. That Savara, Krishna, even though he wears the yellow dhoti, it's called Pitambar Dhari. So somebody can ask the question, what about yellow dhoti? I mean, doesn't he get bored? Doesn't people who look at him get bored? No. Now, we can ask people questions. Some say, Prabhu, that's yellow, maybe different shades. Huh? Some dark. They are thinking from their own background. Yeah, I'll be bored by. But here also, sometimes some people are not bored by one cloth. Are Steve Jobs, Prabhu, one cloth? You know, but he had similar shade, but still we'll get bored after seeing him. Black turtleneck and the jeans. But with Krishna, that cloth has potency. Why? Because Balramji has become that cloth. So it's transcendental. So Nitya Naveen, Radharani blue sari, and the red upper cloth. Generally, it is said, or they say red sari in winter because it gives. Red is a hot color. Right? Summer it is blue sari. That's it. Only 2 pairs of clothes. So I said, no. Red is a Stanford cardinal red sometimes and crimson red sometimes. Then come on. No, it could be just one red. However, it is so special that it invokes the special feelings every time it is viewed. I think we want that thing, right? So it's a hope. So it's an eternal effort for eternal love. And hence, we are taken care. We won't be bored if we are proper. More thoughts, comments? Sattva, you want to share something?
Yeah, when you were talking about the Utsahamaya Bhakti, I was wondering, like, can it also be compared to the Dunning-Kruger effect?
What?
the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, it's basically that the Dunning-Kruger effect occurs when a person's lack of knowledge and skills in a certain area cause them to overestimate their own competence.
Beautiful. Forward me this. Or tell me, this is in Wikipedia, Dunning-Kruger?
Yeah, it should be in Wikipedia. Yeah, it is there.
Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah.
So it's basically so there's a graph. Yeah, x-axis, x-axis is like the amount of learning, and y-axis the enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, when one learns, enthusiasm goes up like this, and then slowly when one starts learning more and more, then it goes like this, because then we understand that we hardly know anything,
And then maybe it picks up.
and then it picks up and goes like that.
We become realistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beautifully explained. Yeah, this is actually behavioral science. It is behavioral science of bhakti, and what you said is behavioral science of emotional and intellectual investment in any area, and that generally happens. Sometimes I have not seen that happening in other fields so much, like maths and physics, like that, because there's not much emotional investment there. It's like, yeah, I'm doing something and I'm getting whatever I've done, I've gotten the grades as per it. But when the fields grab the emotion, right, then the person starts thinking that, oh, I've got something special, as you said. You see changes in your heart. Dunning-Kruger effect. Thank you for bringing that. Your Swardeep, you want to share something?
Yes, so my PhD advisor, whenever I propose something, he always says, why this? So similarly, I also had this, I was trying to understand different reasons of why we should do steady bhakti. So then I just thought of 3 different reasons why. So I wanted to get your feedback also.
Please.
So the first thing is like, the first thing is at a superficial level, like we go through different periods of happiness and sadness, right? But these turbulent times, we don't want to be in sadness at any point of time. Ultimately, we are trying to maximize happiness at all points.
Yes.
So steadiness in bhakti will always help us achieve that goal. That's the first thing I understand. Second thing is that I could understand is life is a preparation for death.
Yeah.
So if we are in that sinusoid, in the death times, there is no guarantee that we will always be Krishna Saranam at that
Good
point.
one.
That's the second point.
Yeah. So it's like the person has done nice bhakti, he's in bad time, and he sits on the deathbed and he's telling his sons, what are you doing? You can't even take care of my jhadu. The bhais is eating that jhadu. How will I leave? So when he was high, he was like, I'm the saint. When he was low, he was like super attached to even jhadu. And at the time death came. So he's saying, what he's telling on his deathbed, you can't even take care of the jhadu. How will you take care of the estate? So right, you picked it up very nicely.
Yeah.
What is the third thing?
Third thing is more about experiencing this bliss of love with Krishna. If we are unsteady, then we are missing out on that constant love, lovely relationship with Krishna. That is the third thing that I can understand. If you
No, very well encapsulated. And it's important that we have these kind of understanding in our own language, in our own words, so that, and different people will have different kind of lenses, different statements, different concepts for them. So we should make that so that, we make the process very personal also. Thank you. Shall we stop? Yes. So actually still we went for 1 hour, so that's good.
Yes.
7:22, 8:20. Tomorrow we'll start at 7. I forgot only. Okay. Motivation.